Hello guys, welcome to Bhavna's Online Academy. So in this video, we are going to learn the questions of consolidated financial statements. So we are going to cover all the ICR questions, which is going to cover your examples, illustrations, practical problems, or what you call as test your knowledge questions, as well as MCQs, which are given at the book back. Okay, so all of these are going to be covered in this video, and as well as before you move on with solving sums with me, what I want you to do is make sure you are watching the concepts video before you start with this video, because this concept video is a 2-hour video which I have uploaded on YouTube for CFS, which covers all your concepts from the start till the end, and there I have also given an easy format for you to solve the sums in a standardized manner for the chapter. Okay, so this video link will either be in the description box below or in the I button above. So make sure to check that video and understand the chapter first before you move on into solving the sums. And the notes for the chapter of CFS, the concept notes, are also available on my Telegram channel. The link of which is in the description box below. So make sure to check that out too. Okay, perfect. So now without any further ado, let's move into the question part. Starting with the example number 1. So in example number 1, they are telling you that a following information is given and it is as on 31st March 2001. Okay, they are saying that there are two companies, P Limited and S Limited, and they have given information about non-current assets as well as equity. Under non-current assets, you have PPE, investment in subsidiary, and net current assets. And under equity, you have information about issued capital and reserves and surplus. Okay. And then they are telling you that P Limited has acquired 100% of S Limited, which means P Limited is a holding interest here, or the holding company. So you will understand the term of holding interest, minority interest, all when you have already watched my concepts video. So make sure to watch that. So P Limited is a holding interest, or what we call as a holding company, and the holding company has 100% of stake, which means does minority interest is there in the company? The answer is no, there is no minority interest, because 100% of the stake is held by the holding company itself. And at what date this acquisition happened? It happened on 31st March 2001. Okay, so we have the information as on 31st March 2001 only. The acquisition also happened on the same date only. At what value did this H Limited acquire this? Sorry, this P Limited acquire? P Limited acquired S Limited for 1000 rupees. So what is this 1000 rupees? This 1000 rupees is your purchase consideration. Okay. Then they are saying that since P Limited has acquired S Limited, now you have to find out what is the goodwill or capital reserve. You have to also understand why this is arising, and you have to interpret the same. Okay, fine. So you all must remember that there is a particular format that I have already taught you. It was a 8-step format, basically, in which we started with first we have to write the date of acquisition, then we have to write date of consolidation, then what is the holding interest, what is the minority interest, then we prepare analysis of reserves. After preparing that, what we do, we are going to find out the net assets taken over by the subsidiary company, taken over of the subsidiary company, then we find out cost of control, then we find out minority interest, and finally we find out what is the group reserves. So this is a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a 9-step process, and in the 10th step we prepare the consolidated balance sheet. So I taught you this 10-step process in the concept video, and the same 10 steps we are going to apply in each of the sums to find out the answer. Okay, fine. So now let's move on to our answer sheet. So in our question, they had already given, what was the date of acquisition? So the date of acquisition was 31st March. So the date of acquisition was 31st March 2001. So as you would have already seen it, it's 31st March 2001. Okay, perfect. And when are we consolidating? When are we consolidating? We are also consolidating on the same date only, like I told you. The information is also given for the same date only. So 31st March 2001. So there is no time period between both. So there is zero time period between both. There is no post and there is no pre. Everything is going to be pre only. Okay, so this is the timeline. April the year starts, March the year ends. So 1st April year starts. So 1st April, 1 second. Yes, so 1st April the year starts, March year ends. So this is 1st April 2000, 31st March 2001. So at this date only the acquisition is also happening. At this date only the balance sheet is also to be prepared. So the entire period before the date of acquisition, the entire year is going to be a pre-period only. The entire period is going to be a pre-period only. Okay, pre-acquisition period. Fine. How much was the holding interest? So P Limited had acquired 100%. So what will be the minority interest then? There will be no minority interest, so it is 0%. So first 4 steps are done. So fifth step, it is an analysis of reserves of subsidiary companies. So in our question, there was not much information given about, if there are any time adjustments or if there is any dividend or bonus or any fair valuation or revaluation, no information is given. So we are going to skip this step. Coming to the step number 6, which is net assets taken over. So I told you net assets taken over of the subsidiary company. You can find it out using two approach. One is an equity approach, the other one is an asset approach. So in the question, they have given you information in both ways. If we go back to the question, so if you do the equity approach, in the equity approach, I told you that you have to take the share capital as well as the pre-acquisition reserves. So here the entire reserves which are given here are pre-acquisition reserves only, because we are acquiring the company on the last date of the year, So entire reserves which has been collected during the year is a pre-acquisition reserve only. So this, if you come and see, so you have to write, when you come to this net assets taken over, the step number 6, net assets taken over of the subsidiary company, then in subsidiary company, what is the share capital, what is the pre-acquisition reserve, what is the revaluation gain, you have to write. Okay. So in the subsidiary company, if you are going to see, there is no reserves which are given here. So don't write anything. Share capital is given. Yes, share capital is given. Share capital is here for 1000 rupees. So write that 1000 rupees. Apart from that, is any information about revaluation given here? The answer is no. So you just take up the share capital and write it as 1000 rupees under the, write it as a 1000 rupees under the equity approach. So your total net assets taken over will be 1000 rupees as per equity approach. Now if you go as per asset approach, you have to take the value of assets, you have to take the value of liabilities, you have to deduct the value of liabilities from that, and then if there is a revaluation gain or loss, you have to adjust it. So now let's again move on to the balance sheet which is given here. So we have been given non-current assets. So take all the non-current assets of S Limited. So they have PP of 500 and they have net current asset of 500. So take both. Is there any liability which is given here? The answer is no. Only equity is given. Issued capital and reserves and surplus are given. So liability information is not given in the, question. So we just take the asset information, which is 500 of PP plus 500 of net current assets. So if you total these both, so 1000 rupees will be your net current assets. So by either way, if you find out, the answer is going to be the same only. In exam, if you find out using one way, it is more than enough. Both the ways are acceptable. Okay. Now once you have done that, you have understood that your net assets taken over are 1000 rupees. The final step is going to be finding out what the cost of control is. So here cost of control is nothing but you are finding out whether it is going to be a goodwill or whether it is going to be a capital reserve. I told you, if you are going to pay more, which means you are paying more for their goodwill. So goodwill is going to get created. If you are paying less than what their assets are worth or net assets are worth, which means you are creating a capital reserve there. Okay. So first, what you have to write, what is the purchase consideration? So in the question it was already written. What was the purchase consideration? Let me clear this out for you. So the purchase consideration, like you told, P Limited had acquired 100% for 1000 rupees. So 1000 rupees is your purchase consideration. So this is going to be your purchase consideration. Then was there any pre-acquisition dividend information given in the question? The answer is no. Then the next you have to deduct net assets of subsidiary company on date of acquisition. That is what we have found out in the last step, which is 1000. And you have to deduct only of the holding interest percentage. So 1000 rupees is the net assets of subsidiary company. In that 100% is our share. So 1000 to 100% again 1000. So purchase consideration is 1000. So you paid 1000 for acquiring how much assets? For acquiring net assets of 1000. So you did not create any goodwill or capital reserve. Hence the answer is going to be 0. I hope you understood the example number 1. So if you see in our book also, the answer is nil only. So there is neither goodwill created nor capital reserve created. Okay. So now let's move on to the example number 2. So example number 2 is a continuation of example number 1 only, where they just have changed some information. The information about issued capital and reserves and surplus, they made it as 700 and 300. In our last question, this was 1000 and this was 0. So this now they have changed it here. Otherwise, all the other information is same only. The PC is 1000, they acquired 100%. All the other information is same. So what will get changed here? So let's go to the answer of example number 2. Yes. So example number 2. So date of acquisition is 31st March 2001. Date of consolidation is same. So there is no post period. The entire period is going to be a pre-period only. Holding interest is 100%. Therefore, there is no minority interest. It's going to be 0. Analysis of reserves is not required to be prepared because no information is given in the question. Then net assets, because no information in the sense there is no split of pre or post period, there is only pre period fully. So because of that, analysis of reserves is not required to be prepared, because when you have post and pre period only, there are adjustments that you have to make. Okay, next step is net assets taken over, either find out by equity approach or by assets approach. If you go by equity approach, the share capital was 700, then you had reserves of 300 in the question. Why do we have written 300 is completely pre-acquisition reserves? Because like I told you, we are consolidating on 31st March, and on 31st March only the date of acquisition. On 31st March only the date of acquisition also lies. So the entire period before it, or the entire reserves which were outstanding, or created as a balance during the entire year, is a pre-acquisition reserve only. So entire 300 we write here, and the total 1000 is your net assets using equity approach. Now if you go under assets approach, the value is same. So 500 plus 500, 1000 is your asset approach also. Okay. So as a conclusion, by any method you can find, the answer is going to be 1000 only. Okay. Next step, you find out what is the cost of control, which means what is the goodwill or the capital reserve. So your purchase consideration is 1000 as given in the question already. Your net assets was also 1000 only, and you had acquired how much out of the 1000? You had acquired 100% of the 1000 net assets. So again 1000 you have acquired. So you paid a PC of 1000 rupees to acquire a net assets of 1000 again. So you have neither gained anything or lost anything. So there is no goodwill or no capital reserve. So our answer is going to be 0. Okay. Yes. So if you see example number 2, answer again is 0. So example number 2 is also clear. Now let's move on to example number 3. So in example number 3, they are modifying example number 2, which means the issued share capital is 700 here and reserves and surplus are 300. Only thing that they have changed from the last example is the PC. It was earlier 1000, now they have made it as 1200. Okay. Now let's move on to solving the example number 3 also. So example number 3, date of acquisition is same, date of consolidation, these both are same, no post period, complete pre period only. Holding interest 100%, minority, nothing is going to be there. Net assets taken over, the same answer is going to come, because information has not changed from example number 2, which is it's going to be as per equity approach also 1000, as per asset approach also 1000. In case if any of you are feeling that my speed is a little fast, then what you can do is please go to the speed options and make the video speed to 0.75 so that it's easier for you to comprehend. Okay, so we have found net assets taken over. After that, next step is cost of control. So in cost of control, the PC is changed here. So the PC is now going to be 1200. Okay, and from that you have to deduct. So you paid 1200 rupees, and how much did you acquire as net assets? So you acquired 1000 worth of net assets, and how much have you put as your holding percentage? Your holding percentage is 100%. So the entire net assets you have acquired, which is 1000 fully you acquired. So you paid 1200, acquired 1000. So the remaining value is 200. So you paid more, but you received or acquired less. Why did you pay more? You paid 200 more because there is a goodwill in that company. So the answer here is going to be 200. So let's move on to the question part. So here also if you see, the answer is 200. So now let's move on to example number 4. So in example number 4, they are saying that modifying the example number 2. So in example number 2, we had issued share capital of 700, reserves and surplus of 300, and your PC was 1000. Here the only change from the previous example is that your holding interest earlier was 100%. Now they have made it to 80%. So now you will have holding interest of 80%, as well as you have another thing which is known as minority interest of 20%. So this is how your sum is going to change. So now let's move on to the answer of example number 4. So example number 4, your date of acquisition is the same, date of consolidation is the same, 0 difference between both. So the entire period before that is going to be a pre-acquisition period. Your holding interest is 80%, so the remaining will be your minority interest, which is 100% minus 80%. So 20% is your minority interest. No analysis of reserves because there is no pre or post period. Now we are moving to step number 6, which is net assets taken over. So you can either do it via equity approach or asset approach. You're going to get the answer as 1000 only. Okay. And the final step is cost of control. So cost of control, purchase consideration as given already in the question, it is 1000 only. What is going to change is the net assets taken over. So this net assets of subsidiary company on date of acquisition. So how much net assets have you taken over? So there was a total net assets of 1000 which you found out in the last step. In that you had taken over only 80%. In the previous all the sums you had taken over 100%. Here you had acquired only 80%. So 80% is what you have taken over. So 1000 into 800. So 800 worth of net assets you had taken over. So 1000 into 80%. So 800. So 1000 is the total net assets of subsidiary company. That 80% is your share. So 800 worth of net assets is your taken over net assets. Okay. So you paid 1000 rupees. You acquired a net assets of 800 only, which means you paid more. Why did you pay more? You paid more. You paid 200 more for the purpose of goodwill. The purpose of goodwill. Okay, so if you go and see your example number 4 answer also, there is a 200 worth of goodwill which has been created. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now let's move on to example number 5. Okay, so example number 5, as you see, here they are saying that there is H Limited and they have acquired 70% of S Limited. So 70% is your holding interest, which means the remaining 30% will be your minority interest. Okay, and what date they have acquired? They have acquired it on 1st Jan 2001. So on 1st Jan they have acquired how much percentage? 70%. Okay. And then they are saying that on that date they paid up share capital of S Limited. So S Limited's capital was 10,000 equity shares of 10 each, and the accumulated reserve balance was 1000. So they are saying, so the year started on 1st April, the year is going to end on 31st March, and on 1st Jan we acquired. So until today, as on 1st Jan, they have few information. They are saying there is a share capital, there is a reserves and surplus. Share capital is 10,000 equity shares of 10 each, and the accumulated reserve until now is 1 lakh. So this accumulated reserve of 1 lakh rupees is a pre-period, because until today, until 1st Jan, the accumulated reserve is 1 lakh. That means any accumulation must have happened before 1st Jan. So the entire period before 1st January or before the date of acquisition, it's a pre-acquisition period. So this entire 1 lakh of reserves and surplus is going to be a pre-acquisition reserve only. Okay. Then they are telling that H Limited paid 1,60,000 to acquire 70% interest. This 1,60,000 they paid to the S Limited. So this, what they have paid is a purchase consideration. Fine. Then they are saying, then here they are saying that assets of S Limited were revalued. So revaluation has happened here on 1st Jan only, and there was a revaluation loss of 20,000. Where this will revaluation loss of 20,000 get affected? When we are calculating the net assets of, net assets taken over, then I tell you, that you have to deduct or add the revaluation. If there is a revaluation gain, you have to add it. If there is a revaluation loss, you have to deduct it. So that is where this is going to get affected. Okay. And then they are saying that the book value of the shares of S Limited is calculated as below. Okay. So this is nothing. Leave the last line. So in this question also, until this, you have read the question, right? In this question also, you have to find out what is the goodwill or what is the capital reserve. So this is what you have to find out. So now all this information, let's go and see in the answer. So example number 5. So example number 5, so it is on 1st January you are finding out, it is the date of acquisition. In the question explicitly they have not mentioned any date of consolidation, so I have not put here anything. Holding interest, they told you have acquired 70%, so the remaining is going to be minority interest of 30%. Analysis of reserves we are not preparing as yet, we will go through all the other steps, and in case if it is required, we will come back and prepare this. Okay. Let's move on to the step of net assets taken over. So you can either go by equity approach or asset approach. In the question, equity approach details are only given, so we'll go through that. So first they are saying that the share capital. What is the share capital of the subsidiary company? They have 10,000 equity shares worth 10 rupees each. So 1 lakh worth of share capital is there. Then they have reserves in the company worth 1 lakh. And this entire 1 lakh I told you, they have been accumulating it until the date of acquisition. Until the date of acquisition, this 1 lakh has been accumulated. So all this 1 lakh rupees is going to be a pre-acquisition reserve only. So pre-acquisition reserve is 1 lakh rupees. Then they are saying that there is a revaluation loss of 20,000. So this revaluation loss of 20,000 you have to deduct. Okay, if it is a gain, add it. If it is a loss, deduct it. So 20,000 you have to deduct. So you are left with the net assets of subsidiary company of 1,80,000. So net assets is 1,80,000 of the subsidiary company as on the date of acquisition. And from this 1,80,000, how much have we acquired? We are going to see in the next step. So next step, we have to see what is the cost of control. Already we saw in the question that the purchase consideration to acquire 70% interest, they paid 1,60,000 rupees. So that is the purchase consideration. There is no pre-acquisition dividend, no bonus issue. All you have is net assets that you have taken over. So the total net assets that's found in the previous step was 1,80,000. In that you have taken over 70%. In that you have taken over how much? 70% you have taken over. So 1,26,000 worth net assets are yours now. Yours means holding companies now. So you paid 1,60,000. You acquired net assets worth only 1,26,000, means remaining 34,000 you have paid extra. If you have paid extra, it is going to be your goodwill. It is going to be your goodwill. Okay. So I hope you understood this question. So if you see, there's a positive differential of 34,000, which is goodwill in this. See, if you see in the question, only this much answer has been given. So you will not be able to understand what, ICA has done in the question. So what I have done is I have prepared this answer sheet, or what you call as answer key. And as per the steps that we have discussed in our concept video, I have applied all those steps to arrive at the answer. So there is a proper standardized version of how you arrive at the answer, and you don't have any kind of confusion. And I hope this helps. If this is helpful, please do let me know in the comment section your feedback, so that I'm able to bring more such helpful formats and videos for you all. Okay. Now let's move on to the next example, which is the example number 6. So example number 6, again it's a similar kind of example where they tell you that there is A Limited, it has acquired 70% in B Limited on 1st January. B Limited had a capital of 1 lakh rupees, and then there was a reserves and surplus of 1 lakh rupees. Okay. The assets and liabilities are also revalued, and revaluation there was a profit of 20,000. In the last question we had a loss of 20,000 in the question. The only difference is here there is a profit of 20,000. So in last question we deducted this loss, in this question we'll add this profit. So this is the only difference between both. And then there is a difference in the purchase consideration also. So purchase consideration, you paid 1,30,000 to purchase the said interest. Now you have to find out what is the goodwill or capital reserve. So let's go to example number 6 now. So example number 6, so date of acquisition is 1st January, date of consolidation is not explicitly mentioned in the question. Then you have a holding interest of 70%, so the remaining is a minority interest of 30%. Analysis of reserve we are not preparing as yet. Let's move on to net assets taken over. So you either can do via equity approach or asset approach. So via asset approach, there is no information, so we'll prepare using equity approach. So there is a share capital, 10,000 equity shares of 10 each, so 1 lakh worth of share capital. All the reserves are pre-acquisition reserve, because they are saying in the question that it has been accumulated till the date of acquisition. So whatever till the date of acquisition have accumulated, everything is going to be a pre-acquisition reserve only. So it is a 1 lakh rupees of pre-acquisition reserve, and they are saying that in the question there is a revaluation gain of 20,000. So you add back 20,000 here. So you add 20,000 here. So if you do this total, 2,20,000 is the net assets of the subsidiary company as on date of acquisition. So on 1st January, these are the net assets worth of the subsidiary company, and in this we are going to get a share. So in the next step, you get a cost of control, and you said you have paid a PC of how much? 1,30,000. There is no pre-acquisition dividend or no bonus issue. So net assets of the subsidiary company, as we found out, it is 2,20,000. Sorry, it is 2,20,000. And in that 2,20,000, how much is the holding interest? It is 70%. So our share is 70%. So 2,20,000 into 70%, our share is 1,54,000. So we paid 1,30,000, but what we got or what we acquired in return was much more, which is 1,54,000. So you have received more this time. So if you have received more this time, you create a capital reserve of 24,000. Okay. So this was a question. Let's verify with the ICI material. So 24,000 worth of capital reserve has been created. I hope example number 6 is also clear to you all. Okay. Now let's move on to example number 7. In example number 7, they are telling that H Limited is there, and it has acquired 16,000 equity shares of 10 each in S Limited. Okay, so 16,000 equity shares acquired on 1st October 2001. So this is the period. On 1st October, they have done the acquisition. So this is the date of acquisition. And they have acquired it for how much? For 3,06,800. So this is your holding interest. We are going to find out. Okay, the percentage in some time, and they have paid 3,06,000, which means this is your PC. Okay, and then what they are saying is that the profit and loss account of S Limited, the profit and loss account of the subsidiary company showing a balance of 10,000 on 1st April 2001. So they are saying that as on 1st April there is a balance of how much? there is a balance of 10,000. Okay, this is in the P&L. Fine. Next, they are saying that there is a plant and machinery in the subsidiary company which stood at the books of 1,50,000 on 1st April and was considered worth 1,80,000 on date of acquisition. So 1,50,000 was its book value, but as on date of acquisition it became 1,80,000, means a revaluation happened on the date of acquisition, and due to that revaluation there is a revaluation gain of 30,000. So 1,50,000 was the book value, 1,80,000 is the worth right now, which means it is a revalued figure. So 30,000 is your revaluation gain as on date of acquisition. Okay, and then they have given you information about both the companies on 31st March 2002. So as on 31st March they have given you information. What is the share capital, general reserve, P&L account, current liabilities. So these are all. So this is about your equity part, they have given information. This is about your liability part information, and the rest of it is the assets part information, where they have given you about land and building, plant and machinery, investments and current assets. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. Fine. Now what you have to find out in the question is again, what they have told you to find out in the question is again, you have to just solve all the steps which are possible. In this example, they have not explicitly stated what and all you have to find out. So you solve all steps until you are able to and give the answer and come. So solve all steps. Okay, now let's move on to our answer part. So this is your example number 7. So example number 7. So example number 7, like we saw, the date of acquisition was on 1st October. So I'll draw a timeline here again. So 1st October 1 was the date of acquisition, and in the question they have given you date of consolidation. So the date of consolidation is usually 31st March only. So 31st March 2 is your date of consolidation. So there is a time period difference of 6 months. So this 6 months is your post period, which means that your starting should be 1st April 2001, and you have a pre period of 6 months also. So pre is your, so there's a 6 months pre period and 6 months post period. Okay, then you have, that is what I've written here. Okay, then you have a holding interest. So holding interest, in the question what they have told you is that they have told you that S Limited, if you see here carefully, they have told you that S Limited has a share capital worth 2 lakh rupees. Okay, and they have told you that each share of S Limited is worth 10. It is worth 10 each. Okay, so they are saying that there is a share capital of 2 lakh rupees and each share is worth 10 rupees, which means how many shares are there in the company? There are 20,000 shares in the company of S Limited. There are 20,000 shares, in the company of S Limited, and that how much is H Limited acquired? So if you see here in this, how much has H Limited acquired? H Limited has acquired 16,000 shares. So if you see, there are totally 20,000 shares in S Limited, 20,000 shares in H Limited, 20,000 shares in S Limited, out of which H Limited had acquired 16,000 shares. So 16,000 divided by 20,000, 80% has what H Limited acquired, or the holding interest has acquired 80% shares. So this method I told you in my concept video also, directly percentage is not given, using number of shares you find out. So number of shares, how much you have acquired or held, divided by what is the total number of shares in the subsidiary company. Total number of shares in the subsidiary company, if you do, you will get your holding interest, which is 80%. Then find out the minority interest, which is the remaining. So 100% minus 80%, 20% will be your minority interest. I hope the first 4 steps are clear to you. Okay, fine. So now in this question, because there is something known as a pre-period as well as a post-period, you have to prepare the analysis of reserves. So here you will be preparing analysis of reserves. Until now in our question, there is no pre or post-period. Either it was fully pre, correct? So now since you have the split of pre-period and post-period, we are going to prepare now analysis of reserves of subsidiary company. So you have to write, you have to make columns like I told you in the format itself. First pre, then post, then you have to make a column of total. Write whatever reserves are there in the subsidiary company. So you are going to analyze the reserves of subsidiary company only. So whatever reserves are there in the subsidiary company, write that. So in our question, if you see, okay. So now let's start by preparing the analysis of reserves of subsidiary company. Okay. In this, first you have to write all your reserves, which is now, as we have seen in the question already. Let's move back to the question. So in the question you have 2 reserves, which is the general reserve and the P&L account. And of the subsidiary company, you have to see what is the value given. So S Limited, the value is 1 lakh rupees of general reserve and 82,000 worth of P&L account. Okay. Before I move into the answer, there is one thing that I would like you to recollect. In the last video, we saw some points to remember, correct? In the points to remember, first point I told you something, that in case if the question is going to be silent about the treatment of reserves, what you have to do, and if the question is silent about P&L account, what you have to do. That means here they have told you that as on the date of consolidation, that means as on the year end, okay, as on the year end 31st March, they are telling you that there is a general reserve with a balance of 1 lakh rupees, and then there is a P&L account of 82,000 worth. Okay. In this question, now how will you know how much is pre and how much is post, or is there any other information given in the question? There is one information which is given in the question, where they have told you that the P&L account of S Limited showed a balance of 10,000, on 1st April. That means they are saying as on the year start, as on 1st April, we don't know about general reserve, but they are saying that as per our records, P&L account had a balance of 10,000. Okay, they have not given any information about general reserve, but they have said that P&L account, there was, as the year started, there was a balance of 10,000 there. And we acquired, what was the date of acquisition? It was on 1st October. Okay. So now how are you going to split this 1,82,000 between the pre-period and the post-period is the question here. Okay. So we read in our points to remember in our concept video, which was the first point. You can also refer back in your notes, where what did I tell you? I told you that in the case of P&L, what you have to remember is, you have to assume, that the full balance, whichever is remaining, the full balance will be related to the current year only. Which means you have to assume that this 82,000. So 10,000 they are told that it was in the opening. So the remaining 72,000 is related to the entire year. That means it's 72,000 you have evenly earned during the year. So now this you have to split this 72,000 into pre-period and post-period proportionately. So we had a pre-period of 6 months and a post-period of 6 months. So proportionately you have to split this 72,000. Why not fully 82,000? Why only 72,000? Because in the question they have already told that 10,000 was as on 1st April. So if 1st April you know it's 10,000, which means it is a pre-period only. The rest of the 72,000 only are confused whether it is a pre-period or the post-period. So assume that it has been evenly earned during the year, or the full balance is relating to the entire current year, and split it between pre and post profit. Okay. Now when it comes to general reserve, what was the assumption that you had to take? The assumption that you had to take was a full balance of the general reserve is related to the opening balance only. So this 1 lakh rupees is entirely belonging as on 1st April only. This is what you have to assume. So if the entire balance of 1 lakh is, belonging to 1st April, that means the entire 1 lakh will be considered as a pre-period only. There is no post-period in the general reserve. Okay. So I hope this assumptions, this is why I'm telling you, refer to my notes and concepts video very well, so you are able to, crack these concepts which are not explicitly given in the question very well. So this is how now we are going to prepare our analysis table also. See, so you have general reserve, 1 minute, and you have P&L account. So they have told that totally as on date of consolidation, the balance is 1,82,000. They are saying that pre-post, you have to first split it. You have to make 3 columns here, which is a pre, post and a total. So the total column will be as on date of consolidation. The pre column is as on date of acquisition. So before date of acquisition, whatever balances are will come here, and after date of acquisition till the date of consolidation, whatever the split is going to come here. So 1,82,000 was the balance as on date of consolidation for general reserve and P&L account. Here they have told you that 10,000 of P&L account is already there as a opening balance, so it will come under the pre-period. The rest of the 72,000 is what you have to split between the pre and the post. So here see, you have made a time adjustment in the next line itself. So 72,000 you are going to split into 6:6 ratio, because 6 months is a pre-period and 6 months is a post-period. So 72,000 you are going to divide it into both pre and post equally. So 36,000 and 36,000 you will be, putting it in here. Okay, 1 second. So how you have to do this is, so 72,000 is here. So 72,000, from 72,000, 36,000 will go here and 33,000 will come here. Okay, do that. And after that, you have to see general reserve. So general reserve, we had a total balance of 1 lakh rupees. No question in question, no point related to that is given. So you assume that the entire balance is related to the pre-period itself, and you write the 1 lakh in the pre-period. So what is the pre-period balance? So the pre-period balance is 1 lakh worth of general reserve, 10,000 worth of P&L account, which is the opening balance, as well as during the year in the pre-period you earned 36,000 worth of P&L or profits again. So the total balance that you have right now is 1,46,000 in the pre-period. So your pre-period reserves are 1,46,000. Your post-period reserves, you are worth 36,000. From the 72,000 entirely is not post-period. From that only 36,000 is considered as a post-period reserve. So 36,000, sorry, post-period profit. So 36,000 is your total as per the post period reserves. Okay, so these are your totals. Now in our question we had also been given the increase or decrease in fair value. So I told you, first write all your reserves, then do a few adjustments, do the time adjustments. If you see the format, okay, let me just open the format for you once, so we also revise the format as we go on. Yes, so I have opened the yes. So remember, this is the format that we read in our concepts video. First you have to write what is the balance in P&L, what is the balance in general reserve. Then if there is a bonus issue, adjust that, dividend paid, adjust that, and then do your time adjustment. In our question, both bonus issue and dividend adjustment was not there. So we directly move on to do the time adjustments. After that you will find a total. From that total again you have to do if there is any bonus adjustment, dividend paid, if there is increase or decrease in fair value. In our question the first two are not there, but the increase or decrease in fair value is given in the question. So we do that adjustment, and then you do the remaining adjustments, depreciation adjustment, then your unrealized gain adjustment, and you finally find out your total or the answer, final answer. Okay, so this is what we are going to be doing in our answer 2. So this is what we are going to be doing in our answer 2. So we have done our general reserve. So we have done our general reserve, we have done our P&L, and we have done our time adjustment also. After that our balance is 1,46,000 as for pre-period and 36,000 as for post-period. So now next adjustment we are going to do is the increase or decrease in fair value. So in the question they have already given you, in the question they have already given you that the plant and machinery of S Limited was in the books, it was 1,50,000 as on 1st April, and as on the date of acquisition it became 1,80,000. Okay, so now here what you have to do is that directly, like I told you in the start itself, I told you that there is a revaluation gain of 30,000, so this will get adjusted, but there is a problem, and this is a mistake many people can make. There is a problem here. The problem here is that, let me make you understand. They are saying that there is a date of acquisition, there is a date of consolidation, and as well as there is a year start, that is 1st April. So they are saying the value of plant and machinery on 1st April is 1,50,000. As on date of acquisition it is 1,80,000. As on date of consolidation, if you see the value of plant and machinery as given in the question, the plant and machinery is worth 1,35,000. So it is worth 1,35,000. And they are saying this adjustment of 1,80,000 has not yet been done. So we have to do this adjustment. So whenever they have given a revaluation in the question, that means they have not done this adjustment as yet. You have to do this adjustment. So the only information which is given in the question which has been adjusted is that as on 1st April your plant and machinery is worth 1,50,000, and as on the year and after 1 year your plant and machinery is worth 1,35,000. So without giving any adjustment of revaluation, you have already had a decrease in the plant and machinery value. And why is there a decrease? So there is a decrease in the value of plant and machinery. And how much is the decrease? How much is the decrease? So there is a decrease of 15,000 rupees. And this 15,000 decrease, we said that there is no revaluation effect has not yet been given. So this entire decrease, it means it is being due to the depreciation only. So this entire decrease is attributable to depreciation only. Okay, so now here what you have to do is, you remember when we were doing our concepts video, I taught you how you have to find out the depreciation percentage, how much depreciation is there, what will be the revaluation effect, whether there will be additional depreciation or a depreciation reversal. So all of this I've already taught in the concepts video. If you have learned that already from the concepts video, you'll be able to understand what I'm going to say now. or please refer to the concepts video once and come back here. Okay. So here we had read that a format for impact of depreciation can be prepared. So that is what we are going to prepare now. So we are going to prepare a working note for impact of depreciation. So this is the year start 1st April, then you have 31st October, which is the date of acquisition, and 31st March, which is the date of consolidation. Okay. They are saying that on 1st April the machinery was worth 1,50,000. On 31st October the fair value was 1,80,000, and 31st March it was 1,35,000. So for now what you are going to do is, for now you are going to ignore this. You are only going to keep this and this in mind and first find out what is your depreciation percentage. So year start it was 1,50,000. In 1 year it became, year end it became 1,35,000. That means there is a decrease of 15,000 rupees on the value of 1,15,000. So 1,50,000. So on the value of 1,50,000, 15,000 has been deducted, which means 10% is a decrease. So 10% is a decrease in value. So which means the 10% is your depreciation percentage. So this 10% is nothing but your depreciation percentage. I hope you understood that. So they are saying, what they are trying to tell you here is that if in 1 year, so if in 1 year 10% has been reduced and the value has become 1,35,000, as on 6 months end, what will be the value you have to find out. So as on 6 month end, what will be the value? So only if you know what is the value or what is the carrying amount as on 6 months end, you will be able to compare it to the fair value and find out what is your revaluation gain or loss. Otherwise, you will not be able to find out. Correct. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to see as on 31st October. So as on 31st October, what is the carrying amount? So what is the carrying amount you have to find out. So 1,50,000 rupees is the carrying amount as on the year start. So this is the carrying amount as on the year start. In this you have to depreciate for 6 months. So you have to do depreciation for 6 months. So 1,50,000 into 10% is the depreciation rate, but you should not do for whole period, only 6 months period you have to depreciate. So 6 months if you depreciate, so your total carrying value right now as after 6 months, your carrying value as on 31st March is going to be 1,42,500. Your carrying amount is 1,42,500, but your fair value is 1,80,000, which means it is more than your carrying value. So if your fair value is more than your carrying value, what is it? It is going to result in a revaluation gain. So how much is the revaluation gain? So your revaluation gain is 1,80,000 is your fair value, 1,42,500 is your carrying value, which means 37,500 is your revaluation gain. I hope you have understood this. So 37,500 is your revaluation gain. Okay, perfect, understood. So now we have to see if there is a revaluation gain. That means there is an increase in value. If there is an increase in value, that means there will be an increase in depreciation also. So more the value, more the depreciation. As simple as that. So you have to find out what is the additional depreciation that is to be charged. So how much depreciation have you already charged? So how much depreciation you have already charged? So first let's find out that. So depreciation that you have already charged is, so 1,50,000 minus 1,35,000. So how much depreciation you have already charged? So you have to see for 6 months, because I'll tell you what happened here. Let me first erase this. Okay, so now for this 6 months, you have already charged a certain depreciation. You have already charged, suppose, X amount of depreciation. Okay, but now what they are telling is, for this 6 months, the value that you charged this depreciation was wrong. The value has now increased. So there will be an excess depreciation. So there is going to be an excess depreciation. So whatever you have already charged, that is okay. Find out what is the excess depreciation and charge that also for this 6 months. Why not for this 6 months? Because in the 6 months there was no revaluation gain. Only in this next 6 months or the post period only revaluation gain is there. The revaluation gain happened on 31st October only. So there will be an excess depreciation only after that. Correct? So you have to find out what is that excess depreciation. So additional depreciation, what is the depreciation already being charged? So you have seen that during the year, wait a second. So there was a total, I told you that 15,000 worth of depreciation has been charged during the entire year. So if you split this 15,000 into 6 months and 6 months, so first half of 6 months, 7,500 worth of depreciation has been charged. and next half of 6 months, which is during the post period, 7,500 worth of depreciation has been charged. So the depreciation already been charged without any revaluation effect is 7,500 for the post period of 6 months. Okay, what was the depreciation that has to be charged? Actually the depreciation has to be charged was 1,80,000 multiplied by 10% multiplied by 6 by 12. So 1,80,000 is the revalued figure and 10% should have been the depreciation percentage, but only for 6 months. Because the revaluation happened on the mid of the year. So the depreciation that has to be actually charged was 9,000, but what you had charged was only 7,500. So excess depreciation or additional depreciation of 1,500 has to be charged. So additional depreciation of 1,500 has to be charged. So now what you have to do is you have to now take the effect of this revaluation gain of 37,500 and excess or additional depreciation of 1,500, and these both effect you have to give in the analysis of profits statement or the analysis of profits step. Okay, yes. So now let's go to this. So due to the increase or decrease in fair value, there was an increase. First you will write what is the increase in fair value of plant and machinery, and that increase amount you will always write in the pre-period. This I have already told you in the concepts video. So there is a revaluation gain of 37,500, and second there is an additional depreciation that you have to charge, and this additional depreciation you have charged for post period only. So whenever there is additional depreciation, that adjustment will go to the post period only. So depreciation is a expense, so you reduce it from your reserves. So it is a 1,000. So expense usually reduces your profit. So it reduces your profit. So here therefore you are deducting the amount. So 1,500 you have to deduct. So the pre-period balance will be, so 1,46,000 plus 37,500, 1,83,500. Give me a second. Yes. So it is going to be 1,83,500, and post period it is going to be 36,000 minus 1,500. So 34,500 will be your post period balance. So this is your pre period balance and this is your post period balance after all the adjustments that have been made to the analysis of profit statement. From this now you have to split holding interest and minority interest. So holding interest 80%, minority interest 20%. So you have to split the same. Okay, so 1,83,500 you have split into 80% and 20%. 34,500 again you have split into 80% and 20%. Okay, so analysis of reserve step is over here. So the next step that you move on, here what happened is in the question they have also stopped until the same step. So I think I have also stopped the answer until the same step. So see, they have done a revaluation profit of 37,500. They have found out what is additional depreciation which is worth 1,500, and they have said how much is split into H limited and minority interest, how much is relevant to holding interest and minority interest, and this how much will go to holding interest and minority interest. They have split the same thing only we have also done here. But what we have done is, what differently we have done, they have only split this two values into holding interest and minority interest. We have also split these both values into holding interest and minority interest. That's why our value is different from theirs. You can do this also, full marks will be awarded for this. Okay, yes. So if you want to get the book answer, split this into holding and minority interest, split this into holding and minority interest, you will get your book answer. Yeah, you will get your book answer here. Fine. I hope you have understood this. So this question was mainly for the impact of this depreciation. How you find the impact, how you do the additional depreciation, how you find out the revaluation, gain or loss. So all that was the main core of this example number 7. Okay. So now that we have finished this, let's move on to example number 8. So example number 8 is a pretty simple example. Yes, so in example number 8, they are saying that there is an X Limited and you have purchased shares in the X Limited. First, you have purchased it on January 2002 and the next one you have purchased in April 2002. Then X Limited declares a dividend in respect of 2001. So in relation to this previous year, they are before you have purchased, before you have acquired itself, there was a certain shareholding in the company, and for related to that they have declared a dividend. Okay, so this dividend which is related to the pre-acquisition period. So before you have acquired, whatever period is there, it is related to pre-acquisition period. So this pre-acquisition period, how are you going to treat it? Whether you are going to treat it as a revenue receipt which means as an income are you going to treat it, or whether you are going to treat it as a capital receipt and adjust it with the investment account. So I told you that if there is a pre-acquisition dividend, that means you have to treat it as a capital receipt only, and you have to adjust it with the, it should be credited to the investment account. You have to deduct it from the investment account, and this is what they have told in this example also. So if you have seen my concepts video, you would have understood this point well. So yes guys, so this was all about your example. So in the next video we are going to start with covering your illustrations. So I hope there is no doubts until now. In case if there is any doubts with relation to the examples, please let me know that in the comment section below, as well as leave your feedback there, so that when other students are coming to watch that video, they know whether this video is genuinely helpful or not, and they spend their quality time in watching this. And if you need the notes of the answers that I have prepared, these answer notes from which I was referring to, these answer notes are also available on my Telegram channel, the link of which is in the description box below. Thank you so much, and if you like this video, please make sure to like, share and also subscribe to this channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.